you kind of expect from Mascot racing games that they're all going to kind of play like Mario Kart, and that's really not the case with Sonic Riders. It's this weird own unique thing with a lot of very specific mechanics and a very specific control style as well. Kind of the base of the game is you have a air system. So Sonic Riders, unlike Sonic R, where everybody was in like a vehicle or just running around or something, although you can get like rollerblades in this game, each of these vehicles have like an air amount, and as you do certain things, you drain air, and you kind of just steadily drain air overall. So doing things like tricks, riding rails, there's little like air boost pit stops where you can like get air back, and you basically stop in there, and then you launch out either once you decide to launch out or once you like recover your air. And then you can get rings, and that will like level. I think what happens, it's I'm honestly not 100% sure, even though I read through the manual. I think what happens is you get enough rings and you like level up your board during the race, so you can get up to like level 3, and depending on what board level you have, the more boost you can hold, or more air you can hold rather. So you collect rings, and I think when you level up, you refill on your air. And then also there's and these are just like item capsule things that you get rings from, and then also you can get air out of it. And then there's like some other power-ups, but the other power-ups seem very minimal. I would say once per Grand Prix I get an item that's not just rings, air, or probably the most common speed boost. There are some other things there, but I don't know, it's kind of inconsequential if you get anything else, because like so much of the game is focused around like maintaining your air that I feel like it's very hard to really manage other things like what weapons you have, and you don't really hold on to the weapons. They just kind of get thrown out immediately. You can get like these melee weapons, and I'm not sure what triggers this. I think it might be an item, but and when you get these melee weapons, if you boost by somebody, you'll hit them and it'll like knock rings out of them. So I think it like lowers their overall boost, but it doesn't really slow them down per se. It's kind of a bizarre thing. Aren't they like Kirby Air Ride, where the power-ups aren't really there to slow other players down? It's more to penalize them. In the case of Kirby Air Ride, if you have health on, if somebody gets hit enough, they die, and then they're out of the race. But in the case of Sonic Riders, I think you're just like hitting them to down level them so they don't have as much speed. And then there's this whole turbulence system where if you go, I don't want to say too fast, but if you go fast, you kind of leave this big half pipe behind you of air, and people can ride that half pipe, and it basically is like a free space to just kind of like ride without running out of air. You also don't really need a turn, like if somebody does like one of those turbulence things around an entire turn, like you can just ride it the entire turn and just follow the exact path the other person took. So it's kind of interesting. But that turbulence also gets kind of in the way, because when there's no like way to like turn on going to turbulence, like you're not pressing a button to get into somebody's turbulence, you're just kind of like ending up in it. Though if you hit it at certain angles, you won't enter the turbulence, you'll get bounced off of it. It's strangely complex, and it's not quite like anything else I've ever played before. There's a story mode to it. I would say, it's been a long time since I've played a Sonic game. I feel like from my memory of Sonic cutscenes, which, I'm not going to sit there and say Sonic cutscenes are great. They're kind of, low budget and kind of stilted typically from my memory. Sonic Riders seems even more so. But it's nice that they took the time to make a story. I think there's like these group of people called like the Babylon Pirates or something like that, and they're kind of like the rival faction to Sonic. I think they're a fun cast, and I enjoyed their part of the story. Sonic's part of the story was kind of whatever. It was more or less just Sonic being like, oh no, Eggman, Chaos Emerald, something's happening, I'm gonna go find out. And then you get to the end, like, oh no, Eggman got the Chaos Emeralds. It's like, okay, yeah. Although it's not really even about the Chaos Emeralds, it's about getting to the city of Babylon or something like that. And he was like, I want the technology to rule the world or something like that. And then Sonic's story ends pretty early, and then you kind of do these Babylon stories, which kind of overlap with Sonic stories and then goes beyond that story. And I think their little plot lines are silly and fun. It's nothing deep. It's pretty much just these guys trying to find treasure. I don't know if you ever really race against Eggman per se, now that I think about it. Who you're racing against is typically inconsequential in general. There's some missions, so when you're playing the story mode, it gives you a set of missions, and none of the missions actually matter. So it'll say like, defeat Amy Rose, but it'll say in parentheses, get first place. So even if you get ahead of Amy during a race or something like that, it doesn't matter. Like, even though you beat Amy on the score ranking, it still wants first place. So seeing things like defeat Amy Rose, outrun Eggman, it's still just get first place is what it is. I say the story mode overall is fairly easy, though some of the later tracks really require you to be very attentive to how you're racing and taking shortcuts, because shortcuts are huge in that game. And if you miss one, you can go from like first to fifth place. So you gotta be on top of that, and you have to hit as many of those shortcuts as possible. In a way that, like, I feel like Mario Kart shortcuts are good, but they're not like, you're not going to go from fifth to first place using a shortcut in Mario Kart, or Sonic Riders, you can jump up real high. The game doesn't really, as far as I can tell, have like a difficulty level, so when you go to the Grand Prix, it's actually pretty intense from the start. So you just gotta kind of do well. But because there's not a lot of items or anything like that, it's mostly skill based. And not so much like luck based like a Mario Kart can be.